Welcome back to the South Florida Garden Farming channel from Grid Down Prepping, a Guns America publication. To subscribe, please go to gunsamerica.com/digest. Usually there's articles that come with my more involved ideas like this one, and those will be at griddownmag.com. If you're subscribed, you'll get the email letting you know when new things come out. This is a garden seeder from a company called Haas Tools. It has wooden handles, Amish-made wooden handles. I believe the whole thing maybe is made by the Amish, and it's solid steel with a steel chain and extremely robust workmanship, powder-coated finish. Stainless steel parts, bolts. This is a really great tool. There are other garden seeders out there. So if you want to use a plastic Earthway type garden seeder, I think the Earthway is maybe $150. There's some Chinese copies of it. The patents are long expired on all this stuff. So there are Chinese copies of the Earthway seeder now. I had the Earthway seeder 20 years ago, and as soon as I tried it, it broke. It's all plastic, you know, and I broke it because when you're muscling through, especially with virgin dirt, you're going to see me as I'm using this, that I have to deal with the clumps in the soil because, you know, I'm rototilling, but even with the rototiller, I've still got a lot of clumps in there. So with a plastic seeder with usually they even have aluminum handles. Sometimes they have galvanized steel handles, but a lot of times they have aluminum parts to them, and there's a lot of plastic in them. So it's not going to be conducive to pushing through soil that's got clumps and stuff, because eventually you get caught and it's going to bend or snap things. And I really, unless you're on worked soil, that you're at least in the second year, where all of your clumps have composted themselves and dissolved, and you're just dealing with straight dirt. You know, straight dirt, a plastic seeder probably is going to be enough for you. It's going to work similar to this guy. They all work similar to this guy. They have seed plates, and the seed plate, you know, turns and it picks up a seed, and you have different plates for different size seeds, and it just drops it in a tube, and there's some kind of, usually a soil cutter, that will open the channel and then drop the seed, and then some type of way that it brushes the dirt on top, or it scoops the dirt back on top, and then the rear wheel kind of flattens it. Now, there are other plastic seeders. I actually have one coming from China right now that's like a 5-row for like wheat, and those kinds of grain kind of things. So I want to try some grains. But you know, in this clumpy soil, it's just, plastic just isn't going to cut it. And it is Haas Tools, HOSSTOOLS.com. They have a weeder, a companion to this, that's their core push weeding system. It's a wheel hoe, they call it, I guess. They're one of a few metal nice wheel hoes out there. HOSTools.com. The wheel hoe, I believe, is available right now still. I have both the regular one and the high arc one, so I'm probably going to use the high arc one. Again, with that, I tried to cut virgin ground with it. I did cut some virgin ground with it here. That was part of my decision to get the tractors, because it just wasn't happening. It just wasn't what I had envisioned. In Florida, you envision sandy soils, you know, easy, roots come out easy, and that's just not what I have here. What I have here is hard pan, and it's hard and comes out in clumps, and you got to break it up with your hands. So without a tiller, you're really kind of lost. And I saw another good little tiller yesterday at Harbor Freight, which I don't need it because I have my little Mantis tiller from decades ago. I just had it serviced actually, but I might get one just for this column. We'll see if this column takes off. I mean, we've only got like 25 YouTube subscribers, right now. So if I'm, talking to 25 people, I'm not going to go buy a $200 tiller just so I can do the video on it. And I do that with Guns America. As you guys know, I've done it with Prepping 101 over the years. I'm the guy who bought all the stuff that everyone else talks about on the discussion boards and all that stuff. It was always my article came out first. Even like the Mormon food, it was always my article that came out first. People would forward that around. It kind of became a thing. And then people would talk about it after they bought it themselves. I was the guy who found these products originally and brought them into the prepper space. And I'm going to try to do the same thing with this. I had a much bigger audience back then, even bigger than now on the prepping stuff, believe it or not, because back then there was no noise floor for the prepping stuff. There wasn't any prepping stuff. And so everyone was just me, But now there's so many people who they're on the prepping tit, trying to get out that last drop of milk, selling their Patriot foods, I think we're even sending out Patriot food emails now because my sales guys sold them some advertising. But everyone's on the prepping tit now. And maybe everyone will be on the Florida gardening tit soon. But for now, there's me and David the Good. And David doesn't live in Florida anymore, and he hasn't in probably 15 years. So he is not experimenting with anything in Florida today. He has such a breadth and depth of knowledge. David the Good, I've mentioned his book several times on here. You can get them on Amazon. He has such a breadth of knowledge of every single genus and species and everything. But he's not experimenting in Florida these days. I am. And we'll see, we'll see how we go. And I might just go get that tiller from Harbor Freight. We'll see. It's a couple $100, looks pretty good. And so if you're looking for a tiller and you don't want to break the bank, it's definitely an option for you. The methodology of the seeder is actually fairly simple. You have this disc here that cuts a swath. That's why they have a kickstand, is because your cutter is below the wheel area. So how far below it's sitting, it depends on this guy. Okay, this is your depth adjustment. Now this is corn, so I'm going to put it right up to the end here. Okay, I'm going to probably do this a couple inches in. Okay, I am at the top, which is, they say, about 1.25 inches. Okay, and it is on springs. It's a spring tensioner, so it's about as high as it's going to go. I'm a little bit dry here. I am going to irrigate some of this, but probably not the sorghum. Right, I'm not going to put my lines out to the sorghum right now. And this is galvanized, probably will get rust spots on it. Once it rusts, the whole thing will rust. Like all galvanized, usually good for a while. It's not going to go rust on you right off, but it probably isn't going to be, not going to be like this 10 years from now. It probably will look fairly rusted 10 years from now. And the methodology is simple. It cuts, the seed drops down at the end of the furrow, and then the chain smooths out the dirt behind it over the seed. It'll recompacts it. Okay, it cuts, drops, smooths, compacts, and that's the easy methodology of the seeder. Yeah, see, I had some insects in the box here. It's just the way things are in South Florida. There's insects in everything. So if you're doing tomato seeds or whatever, you would adjust this to the top, and just so that you're skimming the surface. You don't want to do too many multiples of your seed thickness with small seeds. You want them fairly close to the top. Assembling the Haas seeder is not that hard. All right, this is not a difficult thing to put together or to use once you just understand the dynamics of it. All right, it's a big heavy metal thing. It's meant to last your lifetime, as I've said, And it comes with the handles, which look and are exactly like the Haas wheel hoe handles, and they have these cuts in them for these pre-drilled for the spacer that goes in between the top of them. And the idea is that you have a little bit of give. See the way it rocks back and forth here? That is meant to give you a little bit of give in between the, as you're pushing, it gives you some leverage to kind of hammer your way through things. And much more important, I would say, on the wheel hoe than it is on the seater. And as you bolt these in, you'll just be trapping the middle section between them, like so, in between the handles. It's too long for me to do this backed up, but you won't be able to see what I'm doing. And then you're just going to they just give you the screws to put in the ends that are going to attach these through the handle. So the handles on the wheel hoe and on this guy, they go on the outside. Okay, that's what it looks like finished. So these are the kinds of mistakes, honestly, that I make when I'm doing stuff. All right, and and I have to redo them. So the carriage bolt has these carriage bolts that have a square top. All right, the carriage bolt goes on the metal side. So when you are hammering through stuff, right, your stress is on that side, right? Is on the metal side. Other than that, when you get the seater, it comes in almost, like totally fully assembled, but almost fully assembled, because you get your seed plates in a separate bag that looks like so. And it gives you the sizes in the list for the different size seed plates. These are the seed plates. I'm probably going to try the 4 seed plate, because I believe my seeds are going to fit in the 4 seed plate. And they go all the way down to lettuce and cabbage sizes, okay, down like this, all right? And then you've got like they have a slot one for, probably going to work for tomato seeds is what I would guess. But if not, it will, if not, for sure the 3 will. Okay, so this is probably what I'm going to use for some, I'm going to put in some sweet sorghum today also. So that probably will work for that. But 4 probably will work for the corn that I'm assembling this, because I usually don't use a seeder. I've always seeded by hand. I had a seeder back in the day. I had an Earthway plastic seeder. I broke it as soon as I got it, and it turned me off to seeders. So when I saw this Haas one, I just was like, maybe I'll, because I know that I can see that these Haas tools are made for a lifetime. So maybe I will probably just break down and do that. So the first thing I'm going to plant is Japanese hull-less popcorn right here, okay? It came from openpollinated.com, which is actually a fairly sizable company, it looks like. And this is maybe a pound of seed that I got. And the reason I got this Japanese hull-less popcorn is, if you guys are following Grid Down, you'll see it. It's right now, I didn't do the video for it yet. I didn't do the article for it yet. It's for, I want to grow it for this Chinese exploding corn popper that makes, it makes puffed, you can puff basically any grain or any cereal grain or bean with it. And I liked puffed cereal and yogurt, so I got really excited when I saw that you can make your own puffed cereal on a small scale. So I'm I decided when I saw this, I was like, oh, Japanese hull-less popcorn, that's probably going to be good, you know, because I'm sure the people who sell the puffed cereals and who make the puffed cereals for like the stores, they probably have varieties, I'm thinking, that are just for them, that puff easy. And I'll show you the seeds. They're not hull-less, obviously, because they need something to contain them together. But they are a little bit smaller than regular corn. So I'm going to show you how the methodology of the seed plates and how they work. This is what your Haas seeder looks like when it comes in. Very simple 3-part construction here. All right, and you've got the hole where the seed drops underneath the thing. So you've got your wood spacer here, and then this brush thing that kind of keeps the seeds from stacking up. And then you're going to just find the seed plate that works for your seed. So you put your seed plate in, and then you see how many seeds fit in your seed plate. Okay, if 1 seed fits in, if 2 seeds fit in, not good, right? Because it's going to come around while it's collecting the seeds and it's going to drop both of them, which I don't want it to do. I want it just to do 1. So even though they said that number 4 is for small popcorn varieties of corn, I'm not going to use number 4. And I did get the extra seed plates, all right, because I'm not skimping on stuff right now. I know that this stuff is going to be unobtainium at some point. All right, so I'm going to try number 5. It looks to me like number 5 is going to be the one. Now 5, I think, is going to probably be a little bit too close for me, so I probably will take some putty or something and fill some of these seeds when I use it. But I also got I got some custom, I won't say custom, I got blank seed plates from them, so that if I have something like this, that I say, you know what, I don't want this so close, but it's a small seed. I got these blank seed plates from them that like this is a 10. This is the other seed pack, the other plate pack that just does 1 every whatever foot or so, like a pumpkin or something like that, which would be more than a foot. And then I got the blank ones, and the blank ones actually come with a drilling guide, with a drill guide to give you the pilot holes, and it has in the instructions, it has instructions on how to use your drilling pilot for that. And it actually also gives you a blank thin piece of plastic one also. So it's a nifty system. I'm gonna just show you that the number 5 plate, right? Only 1 seed fits in there, right? So as this guy is turning, it's gonna drop 1, 2, see? And that's what you're looking for. All right, that's you gotta, don't go by just a guide. You have to actually put it in and drop your seeds in there, and just see what's gonna work for you for that particular seed. Now this is a sweet corn seed. Okay, this is an heirloom sugar bun, fairly quick corn. It's 70 day. It's probably very small. So this, for the 5, I would say the 5 probably is going to be a little small for it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, see the 5 is not, I wouldn't say it's tiny for it, but I'd say I'm going to miss some, right? And I didn't really want it to be that close. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy out. Not so easy to get in and out. Oh, that's right. I meant just do this. Already figured that guy out. as you can see, common sense. What for most people would be common sense is not so common for me. I don't have a lot of natural common sense. I have to work for my common sense. So number 4 probably is going to be the seed. Oops, there you go. See, only one fits in there really. So it's gonna, if I fill it, if this bucket is full, it's going to just drop one at a time, okay? And that's what I'm looking for, okay? Looks like it's going to be pretty consistent. Just one is going to go in there. That's what I'm looking for. Now, this many seeds, I probably wouldn't use a seeder, but I will in this case because I am out with my seeder today. I finally got this seeder together and going, and I'm now going to use a seeder for all this stuff, everything, because I have one. I'm going to find you guys a decent, cheap seeder as well, and I will be doing a video on that. I think I found one. I just have to figure out the reviews on it and see. But this guy is certainly robust. So the way that this works is you put your wooden spacer down, and you put your brush plate down, which is right here. Okay, it fits in these slots here, and you tighten it up. It says do not over tighten. So if you can get a used one of these, oops, I think when that happened, it looks like my hole repositioned itself. So that's very important. See, little details like that can really screw you up. Okay, and I'm so glad that just happened, so you guys can see the frustrations that farming can be. I've explained it many times that you can do some stupid little thing wrong, and it kills you. I mean, it literally kills you because you can't figure out what it is you did wrong. But you know what? You just covered empty holes, because when you put your thing back on, you see it does fit down in there. But and it's pretty solid, but I had knocked it off and not realized it. So I would have happily just gone along and filled up empty holes, and 2 weeks later wondering why nothing has germinated, and then I got bad seeds. So you don't want to over tighten this, right? Because don't forget, you know, your wheel is your driver for this, right? And this guy is not going to get lost. He's got nowhere to go, okay? So you don't want to tighten it so that it's difficult to push for the friction of your wheel. It's not too tough. You want to make it so that it's pretty easy, because it is a 1-to-1, right? Pretty simple. And I would say this plate is probably traditional corn spacing of 6, every 6 inches. And then they give you this cap so that if you do knock it over on the ground, you're not gonna, it's probably nice to leave it off, because your seeds are, you can watch the seeds and see how they're doing as they go down, but just beware that if you're clumsy like me, that's kind of the way. If you get the row marker attachment, it comes in 2 parts. They are this part and this part, okay? There are notches on the bottom, and you put those this way. It's not, you don't have to assemble it onto the device though, but it is going to make a difference in how you set this guy. Not really, but kinda, all right? And the way this is how it works is that they come attached actually. This is your set pin, and then you will put this out to here. So you put your carriage bolt in it, and it will screw on like so. Okay, you're going to have to watch this because this did not come with a pressure nut. Okay, and then you take this end of it. Okay, see how it's got the pins on the end? It's actually a genius. A lot of this stuff is genius engineering. And you put the small one down through, move it all the way to the end, okay, so that it rocks over the side here, and then bring this back up through like so, okay, and that is going to give you your row marking ability. And the nice thing about the row marker is that it actually digs a trench while while it's going. It actually digs a little bit. So you've got kind of a row to follow, and you've got a little bit pre-dug also. I actually tried seed plate number 1 for these carrot seeds, if you can see. But the seeds are getting caught in there. See how the seeds are getting caught? So I'm going to have to move to seed plate number 2. So what I did is, when all else fails, read the directions. I took a look at the manual, and the manual actually, it doesn't just give you the seed plate sizes, it gives you the default spacing, and it shows you the optional spacing. And the way you do the optional spacing is to tape every other hole or every third hole, or however you want to evenly space things. That's how you would work with it. It also says, I saw in the directions, that you're usually going to be drilling your holes bigger, the smaller plate bigger, to use to get the right size seed, which is shocking to me, because you don't, the first thing most manufacturers are going to do is tell you, don't alter our product or you're going to avoid the warranty or whatever, because you could of course screw up and misdrill it or whatever, and then you're going to complain to them. So they recommend using a step drill. I would use consecutive. I would use a drill bit set and gradually work your way up until your seed fits in easily, if you're going to do that. So I'm going to move up to 2, seed plate 2, which is probably a little bit big for these carrot seeds, but I really have no choice. The manual actually says to use seed plate 3 for carrots, so I'm going to use seed plate 2 and just be happy with that, because I'm pretty sure that I will reliably have them falling into seed plate 2. So these are an oblong seed like a tomato. Oh, I got seeds falling through here. They're an oblong seed like a tomato, so you don't want to you're not going to be able to custom drill these. And I just actually had a couple of seeds fall down, and one of them fell right into the hole, so that's a good sign, right? So I'm going to put in my spacer, and I'm going to put it again on the left side. These seeds kind of bounce everywhere, so it's just part of the game. And you'll thin them if they're planted too closely or planted to a hole. If you have to dig through some clumps, just make sure that your wheel, as long as your back wheel is turning, you can assume that you're dropping seeds. If you have to stop and pull some clumps away because you're caught on them, like I get caught almost instantly on them, just pull the clots away. And if the wheel doesn't turn, you just back it out and just go over that spot again, it's an inexact science. You can always thin, but you won't know until they come up, because it is covering them as you go. And I'm going to be putting drip waters, as you see next door. I'm going to be putting drip waters on these. Looks like I'm going to get a decent amount of rows out of this, so I'm going to take this row clear up to the sweet potatoes yonder and go from there. So I'm not going to beleaguer any of the points that I made. As I said, I didn't decide to. I'm not going to do that popcorn corn today. I actually have a pretty big piece of land, so it's a lot of work to do that and a lot of seed to do it. So these seeds are not real cheap. So I'm going to just wait to do that corn, to do the popcorn corn, any dent corn at all. It's actually pretty expensive to buy the seed. You can sometimes buy dent corn. The deer corn should grow. I haven't tried it, but it's dent corn. I wouldn't eat the dent corn from the deer corn, because a lot of times it has this mold on it that is poisonous. But you should be able to grow that dent corn if you want to just grow grain corn for yourself, for chickens. I love grain corn myself. It's much better than sweet corn. And dent corn is pretty easy to grow, and it's very drought tolerant. But I'm not going to do it today, just because it's a lot of work. As you saw from the video, it's a lot of work to go out there in the sun. Here, it's just not worth it today. I'm going to give it a couple months. I'll plant it in October, when I know it's going to be a lot easier, a lot less hot sun, and the overnight, the overall temp will not be what it is now, that you can't even walk on it. So I'll see you next time.